Hi everyone, hi, hope everyone's doing really well. Rob back for another video, and I'm going to really genuinely try and keep this quite short because it's quite late in the evening now, but it's kind of the first opportunity I've had to make this video. So yeah, I'm back uh, into the record fairs again at Moseley in Birmingham, and it's actually the second one that they've had since they came came out from their summer hiatus. Um, and But I was away for the September one because I was on holiday. So yeah, basically it's the first Sunday of every month. They have it, and it's at uh, the club in Moseley off Church Road. Dead easy to park outside, and it's free entry, which is fantastic. So tootled along at 12 o'clock, um, walked in, and there was already dozens and dozens of people digging. So clearly, they obviously let people in earlier than midday. So yeah, went up to my usual vendor that I've come to know after from the last few occasions I've been there. I've had some really really good stuff from him, and today was no exception. Even though I just had the two records from him. This first one that I'm going to show you, I can't believe that I actually picked this up. I only actually heard this for the first time a few weeks ago. And basically, as some of you might remember, I had some VCLT from Pete Sounds from the West Coast, and he sent me some recordable DVDs with some music on that he downloaded from the internet. And there was all sorts, sort of Tropicalia and jazz, rock and psych and so on. And On one of the DVDs, the opening album was an album called A to Orchestra, which is a kind of lost UK sort of pop psych album. And I'd never heard it before. But as soon as I played it, it was just wonderfully quirky and yeah, really different. Grabbed me straight away. Um, I knew that it was rare because I'd sort of read up a little bit about it. Not an awful lot of information online about this album. Suffice it to say that when it was eventually released in 1970, I think the one only pressing at the time was, I think, 99 copies. So originals are just ridiculously rare and virtually impossible to find. And I looked for a reissue, so I was aware that there was a reissue, but didn't think for 1 minute that I'd find it. But as luck would have it, today I did. So this is the 1989 reissue on Magic Mixture Records. So this is the first time it was reissued after its initial release 19 years before. From what I can gather online, I think it was recorded between 1968 and 1970, although some sources do actually say that it was recorded in 1966. It sounds a little bit later than that to me, but who knows? I don't know. All I know is that it's an outstanding listen. It's sort of quirky, psyche. There's elements of sort of garage there. You've got some wonderful backing vocals from two girls. From what I can gather, a lot of the songs are written by Brian Calvert and Mike Levin. And yeah, it's just absolutely just fabulous. So I'm not going to actually get it out out of the packaging, because it is quite it's quite difficult to. It's like a very thin paper sleeve, and that's the album itself. It's like the same as that, but black and white. But there is lyrics. There's like lyrics on the back of the main album. But yeah, it's essentially sort of monochrome, so not an awful lot to see graphic wise. Yeah, there was a second pressing. I found out because the guy who sold it to me said that this was the one and only pressing from 1989, and I think I read that there was 400 copies. But I subsequently found out that there was a second vinyl pressing of this in 1995, but there was only half that number of copies produced, and it was on a different label. So obviously somebody else bought the license for it, but there were only 200 copies of that, so that's even scarcer. So it was expensive, but he brought the cost down considerably from what he was asking for it, and actually gave me a kind of median Discogs price on it, which I was happy for. And he actually bundled it up with another record, which I'm going to show in a minute. So I got it a little bit cheaper as well. So, but yeah, you can stream this, albeit that I don't think it's in print at the moment. There was a CD release from about 2005-06, but I don't think that's available. So yeah, quite difficult to get hold of. But if you're into kind of quirky British psych, sort of with a garage sort of feel from the late 60s, you definitely like this. It's really fun listen, great songwriting, and well worth your time. So that's A to Orchestra and Music's from Holy Ground. Okay, and then the second one that I bought to sort of get the bundle deal, as it were, although this was really cheap, so I probably would have paid the asking price for it anyway. So no idea what this is, but it did look interesting, so I picked it up. So this is a soundtrack from Eric Blau's Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris. So this is a double soundtrack album from 1974. Not familiar with this film at all, but obviously when I saw that Jacques Brel, who's actually in the film and performing on this, I thought it's worth a punt, because he's a great songwriter, and it does include the fantastic song Amsterdam and Matilda, which are great songs, covered by Bowie and Scott Walker, I believe. So yeah, it's going to be orchestrated in parts. I don't know what it's going to be like, but for the money I paid for it, I thought it'll be hopefully be an interesting listen. So anybody who knows anything about this, drop a note down in the comments if you wish. It'd be interesting to maybe take a look at the film as well sometime. So yeah, that's Eric Blau's Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris, original motion picture soundtrack. Okay, then moving on to the second stall, picked up another couple of records. Both of these have been on my want list for ages on vinyl. One I had on CD, but got rid of it some years ago and been looking for a decent vinyl copy since. So yeah, this is Bob Dylan's Oh Mercy. his sort of comeback album from 1989. Yeah, I was really into this back in the day. A friend of mine who I was jamming with and writing songs with at the time was a huge Dylan fan. And yeah, we used to play this a lot. Yeah, Political World, Everything's Broken's great. We sort of busked that at the time. So yeah, I was really into that. Love the song "Man in the Long Black Coat." That's fantastic. That's probably my favorite track. Yeah, but it's a really great listen. From produced by Daniel Lanois, who of course was doing U2 and was very hip in that period of the sort of late 80s. But yeah, it's a wonderful return to form for Dylan. Still think it's probably one of his best albums of the last 30 odd years, to be honest. And yeah, still great album. Okay, and then I also picked up this one. He did me a deal for the two because obviously I picked up two, so he was happy to bundle them together. I would like to have got more, but there wasn't really anything else from his stall that I wanted. This one has been on my want list for a while. I've seen copies of it before, but I've just not picked it up. This is probably the best condition copy I've seen. So this is the debut album from the Silly Sisters, which comprises of folk singers Maddie Pryor and June Tabor. So yeah, obviously June Tabor, fantastic solo artist in her own right. Picked up her album Airs and Graces earlier on in the year, which is just utterly sublime, fantastic folk album on topic. And then obviously you've got Maddie Pryor, of course, from Steel I Span fame, who's still very much touring now. And yeah, this was their first kind of collaboration. I think they did a second album in the late 80s. I'm also on the lookout for that one as well. That's got some kind of wonderful sort of a cappella tracks on it. But yeah, great pairing of two fantastic singers. That their voice is just obviously because they're from the same generation and sensibility, so their vocals blend really well. And it's just a great listen. So that's Silly Sisters and Maddie Pryor and June Tabor. Okay, and then the last one is an album that I've never actually seen before, which surprises me, to be honest. I love the singles from it, but obviously I'm not at all familiar with the album. Never heard it, but it was at a good price. And yeah, happy to pick it up. So this is Jonah Louie, and this is his album, Heart Skips a Beat, from 1980, I want to say 81, 82. So yeah, this has the fantastic song Stop the Cavalry, which is one of my all-time favorite Christmas songs and one of the main reasons for picking it up. But it also came with a free single of You'll Always Find Me in the Kitchen at Parties. So yeah, never owned, obviously was familiar with it, but never owned the single. So that was quite nice to get that in, and obviously as part of the promotion, it does actually say that it did include a copy of the single. So yeah, when I bought it, there was some horrible sort of semi pulled off shrink on it that was very tight on the sleeve, and I literally pulled it off really slowly. I was worried because I have done that before, particularly with old 70s albums that have the laminate on it, and it's just ripped the cover and it's like one of those moments. So, but yeah, fortunately, no damage done, and came away unscathed, which I was delighted with. So yeah, enjoying, looking forward to putting that on and giving that a spin. As I say, not one I've come across before. It's Jonah Louie and Heart Skips a Beat. Okay, so that was it, guys. Just the 5 records that I picked up at the fair today. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. And yeah, I'm going to bid you adieu. And just remains for me to say, have a great week. Enjoy your music. And I'll speak to you really, really soon. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.